Hi everyone and welcome to Art2Heart. Today we are presenting Kyra Belán, one of our award-winning artists, ARJA award-winning artist. She's here in New York and I wanted to take the opportunity to interview her. Her works are outstanding, very, very heartfelt. You're going to be transformed when you see them. But before we get there, how are you doing? How are you doing, Kyra?
I'm doing fine. Not quite used to the rainy weather, being from sunny Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about, let's start from like the beginning. How did you discover you wanted to be an artist? Because you have a long career
Long
already.
career, yes.
So when was like the first time you said, okay, this is what I want to do?
Actually, I was already in high school in Argentina, where I was raised before I moved to U.S. I did my college in the U.S. But at that point, I already knew I was going to be an artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were very young.
Yeah, very young, yeah. In the teens, I already decided I was going to be an artist.
Okay.
And stayed that way for the rest of my life. And now I'm glad to see that the Mother Earth is being considered much more seriously than before by people who want to save her and improve her. We've killed off pretty much 80% of animals. I read recently, to my sadness. And all the forest fires are excessive. It is clear, and the warming is going on. It is clear we have to save the planet. And I hope to influence some people with my art, as many as possible, needless to say, to be aware of this crisis, this climate crisis that we're having now. We've been having it for years, but we're becoming acutely aware of it because things are now accelerating. And it's happening, and the animals are dying in front of our eyes. And so us, the artists, need to help as well. We need to be active, very proactive in terms of what we're doing with our art to sell the people on this idea, to have everybody pitch in.
Tell us about the works that we have published in this issue.
In this issue, we published my works from mostly from the Lady Liberty series, in which I used the Lady Liberty as a symbol for Mother Earth. And that personally, that's my symbol for Mother Earth. But of course, she is, because she derives from the ancient prehistoric goddesses that people worship, because way before, for many thousands of years before they started worshiping, say, Mother Mary or Jesus. And this image is, the image of the Lady Liberty was developed from the ancient Athena imagery. So there is a connection between Goddess Athena of the Greeks and Lady Liberty, actually. And so I figured she makes the most appropriate symbol for me to use for my works that deal with social issues such as the climate change. And I've been creating works for that. Besides, I always feel that since women have been involved during my lifetime and before in environmental issues, either consciously or subconsciously, before that they always help animals and nature. Women figure prominently as symbols or actual names sometimes, or visuals, or other names, portraits, whatever, in my art, to be the bringers of restoration of planet Earth. I feel that's very important. I have a piece that is very specific to climate change, that features the planet in the foreground and the Lady Liberty behind it. My version, of course, which is an improvisation, but still enough to be recognizable. And in this series, I use text as well, because I'm so determined to get the message across, that I don't want people to be standing in front of the work forever, looking and trying to figure out what does this mean. I want to, now at this point, I want to hit them with the message really strong. And so I'm using a lot of text as well. And usually I use acrylic on canvas, but I have works on paper as well and mixed media that deal with the series. I think we featured all the acrylics in the magazine this time. Yeah.
You have been working for a long time on this theme.
Yes.
Even before this movement started.
Even before the movement started, yeah. As soon as I come out of college, in fact, in college I was already producing works that were about the respect and reverence for Mother Earth. And some of those images were symbolic of the ancient goddesses that were worshipped in so many countries all over the world. They appeared in the work as well. So I have a long history of doing different series that are totally dedicated to Mother Earth and the problem that we are experiencing now with encroachment of civilization in an irregular basis. For example, I'm completely against all these gas companies that pollute, and there is no reason why we should be using gas, really. It's a political thing. The politician thinks we have to do it because they can impose it on us, and they streamline countries like Russia and several other countries, Middle East, to be nothing but oil-producing countries, which is terrible. Instead of that, we should be developing solar energy and wind energy and such, which is totally possible. Electric cars should be on the streets right now. They were stopped because the oil companies didn't want them to be on the streets. That's why, that's why women now have to go into politics. I've been supporting women in politics in every way I can. I think other artists should. I have series who are more into that. The Amazing Women series deal more with actual women that are today and in the past contributed to our civilization in some way. So maybe we'll feature that in the next article.
That would be interesting. And I think women have that sensibility that we need right now, right? We have that.
We need women right now. This is the time when women... Innate care. Women are life givers.
Yes.
And they create people out of their bodies in a miraculous way. And they empathize with Mother Earth and animals. On the average, a lot more so than the males do, although some are very much so. But we need women now. I feel that we need women to run for politics more, and they are doing it.
Yep.
And I've been working on some political issues, such as the passage of Equal Rights Amendment. I'm very, very happy that finally in Virginia we did pass. I'm working on some works now dedicated to the state of Virginia and how they passed the ERA, including some text of the names and such. And actually, the state has passed the ratification. The ratification actually will take place next year in January when they get together. But it passed already. The people want it, and so women finally will get equal rights.
So we're moving forward.
Move forward, yeah. I think once women get equal pay, that's going to also help the environment a lot, because women will be able to have more of a say-so as to what to do for our Mother Earth faster, how to do it faster, better, etc., because they'll have more power. Right now we have very much of an imbalance of power in the hands of the males for most part, and women have very little. And women must run for office in order to equalize that power. I know Argentina is a smaller country, that's where I was raised, But we already have, routinely, we have about 40%, the House of the Senate are female. We had several presidents, vice presidents already. This is much better than the US so far.
True.
And women do have equal rights, on paper at least. And so this is a start. First, you have to pass the amendment, Equal Rights Amendment in the US, and then you have a lot of work to implement it, to actually make it happen. So that's another, a lot of work that women have to do. But women have to support each other, and they have to run for office in order to effect change. But us, the artists, must help.
I'm like amazed and fascinated listening to you, because it's really, for me, it's an honor sitting next to you.
Thank you.
That you're so involved, you're so honest, so sincere, and you don't stop just with your artwork. You're totally in there, in depth.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the moment.
No, but
I feel the urgency.
What we want to show the audience is that there is such urgency, and this is what the artists feel, and we are all trying to, get in there, do the best we can, because it's not just trendy. It's not a trend that today we speak about Mother Earth. It's a reality.
It's
urgent, and if we don't do something, it might be too late in 50 years from now.
Right. That's why I'm so happy about the magazine coming out. And thanks to you, Viviana.
Thank you.
Thank goodness we have Viviana.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful magazine. So many artists are now interested in the issue.
Yes. And I'm happy that we're raising this awareness and able to group this together, and we're continuing with the theme. With in 2020, we decided, what, we need to do this.
Awesome.
So we're continuing with the team, and we're happy you're going to be featured in the next.
Yes, I'm happy.
The cover of the spring 2020, which is incredible. We have incredible news for that. I'll tell you off cameras because it's a secret.
Okay.
But it's going to be really great. I want to hear about your installations, because you were speaking before about your installations.
I do them outdoors as well as indoors. In Florida, there's a little more space than in New York, needless to say. But so they're mostly in Florida. But the installations can form a biomorphic structure, such as a serpent or a mound, or a circle, a semicircle, flowing biomorphic structures, artworks that are made out of various materials that are not necessarily the ones artists use, but sometimes. I was probably the first one to start using many of them. Today they're used more frequently. I've been doing installations for several decades. And they flow across the floor, for example, like a huge serpentine shape, because serpents symbolically are divine feminine through history, through way back, and also in nature, serpentine shapes frequently appear as rivers and such. And I also have mounds that kind of mimic the art. The installations that I do, I often use different sands, color sands, rocks, shells, all biomorphic materials, plants, sometimes branches. Sometimes part of the installation can be hanging off the ceiling, depending on the location. They're all site-specific. But I also design some, like the one I was mentioning to you, that can be transported and installed at another place. Many of them have to be destroyed, unfortunately, because there are rocks and sands and shells, and part of the material is saved and recycled. Of course, you want to recycle as much as possible.
Yes.
But you destroy the installation. They're site-specific, they're temporary, they stay for a while. weeks, months. It depends on the location. I had one done at Crandon Park on near, I guess it's Miami Beach. It's right off Miami Beach. And it was very large, all two convergent serpentine shapes with a circle in the middle. And it stayed, and I used rocks for that. Some shells, but mostly crushed rock of different kinds and colors. You know, it was colorful, mostly reds. And they had a storm coming up, and it was supposed to stay at the park for months. And all of a sudden they called me up. They said, the storm is coming up. What are you going to do about your installation? And I said, absolutely nothing. These rocks are not going to move. They did not believe me, and they were worried and pacing. And I'm sure some people didn't get enough sleep that night, at least overnight. And nothing moved.
Nothing moved?
Nothing moved, nothing moved. The rocks.
What's the feedback from the public in the park?
Oh, the public in the park loved it.
They do interact and what?
Oh, yeah. I had a large performance where I had college, university student volunteers to work with me on a kind of like a march for Mother Earth, and we walked around and danced, and it was beautiful. And everybody had a costume that was very vaguely reminiscent of the Native American costumes. I didn't want to do anything to imitate that.
Right.
But just be inspired by the culture, because it's a culture that's original, very much earth oriented, and conscious of ecological issues, always have been. And it was great, and the public loved it. It was very well attended exhibition.
Oh wow, exciting. We gotta do something like that in New York with you.
Yeah, it would be lovely. Yes. Maybe we can get a park to agree.
Yes.
Never know.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is there any message that you would like to give to the artists out there before we go?
To the artists, yes, please do a lot of eco-conscious art, and art that has very direct messages. I'd like to see it tighten up even more, like mine, with direct messages.
Yes.
So people wouldn't look at it and say, what is it? Is it just a nude, or just an animal, or does it have any meaning? So some way, I'm not saying you have to use text necessarily, but just convey the message more strongly. When I wasn't using text, I was usually having a performance the day of the opening where I could speak the messages to the public and get the public to work with me on the performance. Sometimes volunteers that just came over to attend the exhibition, and I would say, would you like to participate in the performance? Explain what to do, and they would do it. And it would be great, and everybody had a great time. And by the time people would get out, they would be more conscious. It just kind of art can bring you up to that next level of consciousness. It's a consciousness raising of a sort. And it happened every time when I did the performance.
That's beautiful. Well, looking forward to seeing so much more.
And they can be small. I had some of them even just by myself, but I like to involve people if possible. And I think the largest I had was about 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But 20, 15, 35, it varies, depending on the location. If it was at a college or a university, then a lot of students always wanted to participate, and we had a blast. Fantastic. And then they were more assertive about saving Mother Earth, and this is basically about saving Mother Earth these days.
Inspiring.
It is that serious. It's very, very serious.
Beautiful. Great to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the show and
thank
for being
you,
here
Viviana.
today. Thanks everyone for watching. We are right now posting the artist's website so that you go and see more of her work. And stay tuned to the next Art2 International show. And don't forget, stay inspired.